Hi there everyone and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You are looking at, well, you can't see it very well, but this is my Singer 99K that I've been working on. This was the, of the two 99Ks I had, this is the one that was down on its luck and had not been given the respect it was due, but we're trying to bring it back and making progress. So what you see in front of you are my attempts, or potential attempts, to get my bobbin winder mechanism to work properly. I've been noticing that when I be still when I turn when I've been turning this mechanism, I for whatever reason I keep getting some resistance, and that tells me that I have had in the past something. And I actually showed there was a piece of thread here, right? It was set right there. And again, this is an area that, if I zoom in here a little bit more for you, this is an area where it's certainly possible to have thread go rogue on you and and get wound into places it shouldn't be. And that's not surprising. Remember, your bobbin, which would sit here, would be spinning, right? Rotating as the hand wheel will help turn it when you're trying to wind it. And what do we know about thread? Thread has twist, and twist means that thread can coil like a little garden snake, and it can get all over the place. It causes issues in other places, including your needle, but or in any thread point for that matter. However, so what have I been doing so far? Well, I started with putting valve oil. Now, valve oil, as if you saw the earlier video, you know this. Valve oil is essentially a form of mineral oil, as are many machine oils. I've explained in my video what is sewing machine oil. And it also has some solvent in it, which thins the oil and allows it to get into tight spaces, really tight spots. So I've been trying that. I tried that a few times, and, well, it helped, and then it would, things would get, it would go back to doing its same thing. So I'm not really, it was adding some lubricity, I think that's a word. And so what else did I try? I decided I would try some 3-in-1. I have other penetrant oils. You don't have to use 3-in-1. You could use liquid wrench, which is even more stinky. You could use PB Blaster. There are many of these products that you can find in hardware stores. You'll also see them in car parts retail establishments. So what did I do? I took 3-in-1 oil and I put it right there, and I even added it here and over here by the hub where the bobbin winder tire goes. And yes, I'll have to clean all that up, but I've been doing that, and I added that, and it has helped, but I'm still not totally satisfied. And then, do any of you remember, if you watch my channel and you followed along since the relaunch, you will know that I decided to salvage a Singer 66 I had because I could not unfreeze it. And for those of you who were, and I was sad to see that too. I don't know if some of you were, but remember, this allows for future machines to be saved. There are times when I get a vintage sewing machine and it's missing a part. Usually that happens because someone was trying to fix it and they took something apart and they got frustrated and they said the heck with it and they threw it all together, or maybe they don't always throw all the parts together and you end up having to search for a new part. Reproductions of some parts are available, but not for the bobbin winder mechanism. Well, fortunately, the Singer 66 is very similar to this machine. In fact, it's the same machine, only wider. Or we could say another way, the 99 is the 3/4 version of the Singer 66. Mechanically, they are basically identical. So I could, if I wanted, I could take, now some of you may notice the 66 was older than the 99. 99s and 66s used to have a bobbin winder that looked like this, right? And it's a beautiful, well, this one is This one is just as frozen up as the rest of that 66 was, but I think it's still salvageable. And this piece here, of course, would fit right where this one is. Okay. Now yes, the decals are a little different. I mean, a little different. They're a different design. Okay, than the one that was updated when this 99 was made. But mechanically, this will fit, or should fit, right where this one is if I needed to. Or I could actually, I don't actually necessarily have to have this piece removed because this piece came off. So if I could somehow, well, no, I can't. Look at that, guys. If you were watching closely, you would have corrected me. Look here. This one has a hole for this bolt because this mechanism was different. So if I wanted to swap out this bobbin winder mechanism, I can. This piece here, it will fit, but I have to basically use this entire piece, and I'd be willing to do that. There are easy instructions for how to use it, and it's kind of fun to watch it work. It's a beautiful mechanism. The one that you see that they did the update to years later is basically, I think it's mechanically simpler and was probably less costly to manufacture. Not a quality change, just, they figured out, hey, we could make this simpler and easier for the user to operate and not cost as much to produce. Still beautifully made. So, but before I do all of that, I've got one more thing I want to try here. And that is this. I was thinking about this and wondering, I think I saw this idea somewhere for something else. I don't remember seeing it for sewing machines, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. Sure, if you're supposed to floss your teeth, why not floss here? Now, let me show you what I mean by this before you think I've totally gone over the wall. Let's zoom in here and I'll show you what I'm thinking. This piece here, this section, this bobbin winder piece, if we look at it, you'll see that, of course, it's bolted to this piece. So I know, get it back in the frame there, I know I can remove this, but if I do, the reality is this piece where you see the hub for the bobbin tire and this piece, they are stamped. Okay, stamped as in they were squeezed into place. I do not know of a method to remove, to dislodge this piece so that I can get it out and remove or deal with whatever's happening inside of here. So when I look down into this oiling hole, I could see some kind of filth in there. I don't really know what it is or what it is or why it is in there. But whatever it is, I cannot tell if it's a piece of thread. If it were, I'm not even sure how I would get that removed, to be honest. So then I wondered, well, okay, we know we had thread here because I removed a piece. And as I was showing all of you, the best way to do that, of course, you take your tweezers and you slowly wiggle until you can feel the thread moving, and then you very gently and slowly pull on the thread because you don't want to snap it. And I did that. I removed a big piece, but I'm still getting, I thought I was still getting some resistance. So, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking floss. Now the floss, unlike the thread, is you can break floss, but it's a lot stronger. So what am I doing? I'm going to floss my bobbin winder mechanism. That's just the spring wanting. It feels the weight. That's why it keeps snapping, because if you use your bobbin winder, you would snap this down into place. So if that happens, just pop it back up. You're not hurting anything. And I'm going to come over on the other side. Now, notice, if we can assume, and I believe we can, I've got the bobbin here. Let's pretend the bobbin was on here and it was trying to wind and something went on. This can happen, and that thread, the thread is coming up here, straight up from down here, right? Your thread comes around here and comes straight up to the bobbin to get wound onto the center of the bobbin. And when you start it, if there's any slack, if you pretend the floss is thread for a moment, you can easily have problems with thread getting in there. I'm surprised I don't find this more often. I'm glad I don't. It's a royal pain. So anyway, that's what I believe happened. Now the thread that came out was sort of a burgundy color. I don't think it was the thread I have on this bobbin. It doesn't matter. Point is, if there's any in there, it's got to come out. So what am I going to do? Chances are, because the bobbin was spinning in this direction, remember the hand wheel, I put the hand wheel back on for just a second. Remember, the hand wheel on Singers and on almost every machine, except for white rotaries, the hand wheel rotates towards you, and that's how it spins when you are stitching. Okay, so don't think that that's how it goes. And so when the bobbin tire is off right now, so there it is. When the bobbin tire comes in contact with the hand wheel, it's moving away from you, okay? And the hand wheel is basically pushing that bobbin tire to spin your mechanism right here. So that's fairly self-explanatory. Well, think about it for a moment. If that's true, if we know that the bobbin wheel and hub are moving away from us, or that would be clockwise from the side, then what we can assume, you can see it almost happening here with the floss, just pretend the floss is a big thread. There are threads this thick, by the way. It would get wound and caught in a clockwise, or moving away from you direction, right? So it would be spinning, in this direction. So I thought, well, if I'm going to try to floss it, I want to move it off. I don't want to. So would that help? So I come behind here, I get there, right in the groove there. And I am going to, I think I'm going to zoom in just a little bit there for you. There we go. So I'm going to I'm pulling the floss. I feel like I'm at the dentist's office. I'm pulling the floss down, but toward me, okay? Now be careful, you don't want to break your floss, then you're going to have floss stuck in there and that won't be fun. Now I'm going to come from this side, okay? And I'm going to work the floss in there. And I'm going to pull. Now I'm pulling in the same direction I was before, but now I'm hitting the top end there. By the way, make sure, do yourself a favor, make sure that the floss is unwaxed. If it's waxed, you might end up leaving wax in there. That's the last thing we need, is more stuff stuck in there. Okay, so I'm basically, now I'm pulling back and forth. Get our hand wheel out of the way. We don't need that there right now. I just want to turn this and see what's going on with it. Now, what's the other area we can do? We can actually come over here, and now this is a much tighter spot. Be careful. If you pull too hard, you will lodge floss in here. So do not try to go as deep. Like you can see, the floss is already starting to shred a little bit. Maybe let's get a clean piece for that. Now, but notice it's a lot tighter over here on the right. So you're not going to have the same level of success you did on the left. And if you try, you could end up with a piece of floss stuck in there, and then you're a lot worse off than you were before. So we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to make things harder on ourselves. Sometimes when you do this, you will see, you might see a piece of thread come out. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see this, but even in just the little bit I did here, I'm starting to get shredding of the floss. So I'm going to make an executive decision here and say, I'm not going to do this section here, because yes, you can get thread in here, but it's not as easy because the space is a lot tighter, right? You're more likely, if you're going to get thread anywhere, you're more likely to get it right. You're going to get it right there, guys. Okay? So yeah, I would suggest, now if you see a piece of thread here sticking out, which you could, then again, take the tweezers like I showed in the last video, and do your turning back and forth and try to get it loose to pull it out gently. But in terms of the flossing, I think you're going to have more success with the floss approach if you keep it to this area here, because the space where I put the floss right there, it's wider and you can get the floss in there a little bit, well, not a little bit, a lot easier. So let's use that approach, okay? Again, I like you guys seeing me try things so that you can see me experimenting with it, because this is not magic stuff. And I know it's easy for me to say because I've been working on these machines for, more than 12 years now. The channel has been around for 10. But I like you guys to see me do this because I want to encourage you. You know, you can always try things, but try to think them through a little bit. And that's what I believe that's what I did here. So I'm getting good movement here. I'm getting some turning, okay? And what else do I want? I'm getting turning that's pretty decent. So what else can we do? It's a lot smoother than it was. So I'm going to try to see if I can get this to work. And if it will, we could avoid having to use the spare part from the Singer 66 because I'd really like to use that for another time. If you don't have to use the spare part, keep it, you know. In my case, I know I'm going to get another 99 or 66 to work on. And that's why I keep these spare parts for a reason. And so, and if you ever have to remove something, or maybe you have to salvage a machine, and I think I've mentioned this in the salvage videos, don't throw it in the garbage. Please don't do that. What you can do, and not in the recycling either, offer it to someone, because maybe someone in your community tinkers on machines. Maybe it's a local, there aren't many, but there are a few local sewing machine vacuum dealers. They might appreciate the parts. They might even pay you for them. I don't know. But it's worth it. You know, it's better than the garbage because, again, there are certain vintage parts we've got to have if we're going to keep all the other machines alive. So it's turning all right. Now, I haven't put a new tire on it yet. Haven't tested it yet. That'll be part of my restoration before I offer this machine up for a new owner. I want to make sure this works. Again, that's one of the reasons you restore vintage sewing machines when they've been asleep. This machine had not been used for years. Was stored in a basement, I'm willing to bet, or a garage for that matter. And there was a lot of moisture in there. But you know what? The machine is, if you give it the time it deserves, the machine is, they can be forgiving. I don't know if this machine is going to function. I won't know, but I'm pouring lots of effort into it so that maybe it can produce once again, because it's not worn out. It's just way, way overdue for service. So thank you all again for watching this channel. And if you have not subscribed, please just click the subscribe button. It's simple and easy. And if you would like, you can donate to this channel through Buy Me a Coffee. And you can donate as much or as little as you wish. It would really help support my efforts to go and purchase new machines, not new machines, new to me, vintage machines to rescue. Speaking of machines, by the way, when you look at this Singer right now, that's not a mirror behind you. That is another Singer that will be coming up in a future video, perhaps the next video, because I want to talk to you all about, well, what's just the first thing you should do when you get a machine that someone has and you don't know anything about it, and we'll talk about that. So thank you again, everybody. Looking forward to sharing more content with you and seeing you there on the channel. Take care.